like that. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to Transformational Feedback, module number 4 of 4, the last in this little series of Lunch and Learn. If you're catching the recording, thank you. If you're joining us live here, thank you so much, guys, for joining us again. So let's jump in as always, and we're going to push this one and this one and block your ears. And let's go here now. So we had 4 modules in total. Module number 1 being open to receive feedback with the 4D framework, followed by getting ready to deliver the feedback with your INSPIRE principles, which you prepare before your feedback conversation, delivering that transformational feedback with the Biff model. And then that brings us to today, which is how do you follow up? Right? What do you do after the feedback? How do you ensure that the feedback that is delivered is truly transformational? And well, the first place you want to start is by making sure you follow the 3 steps beforehand. So if you didn't catch those 3 modules, check out our YouTube channel where you'll be able to see those recordings. But let's do it together very quickly. Who can tell me the 4D framework? What were those 4 Ds? Can anyone remember? Do we know what those 4 Ds were, or have we forgotten already? That's all right. I'm going to share them with you right now. The first D was data. What do I mean by that? Data and information, right? So remember, in order to deliver feedback, you must be good at receiving it first. You can't deliver great feedback if you're not willing to accept it. So we need to walk before we run, and that's being able to receive feedback yourself. The first one is it's simply data and information. This is the first D in the 4D framework. The information and the data may or may not be true at this point. So we can have a certain level of detachment because it's just data and information. Yeah, we don't need to process that data and information just yet. The second D was don't take it personally, especially if the other person giving you the feedback, if they're getting angry, frustrated, and so on, that's their lack of emotional control. You don't need to own that. You don't need to take it personally. Just have that detached perspective as it's information and data. Then you dare to seek the truth. You dare to get out of the comfort zone and you ask yourself, is this feedback true for me? The answer might come to you quickly as a yes or a no. 95% of the time, the feedback will be, or the elements of the feedback will be true for you. So dare to be honest with yourself, dare to seek the truth, which might come in 5 minutes, 5 hours, the next day, even the next week. But if you continually ask yourself, is this true for me? Then if the answer is yes, well, what do? You decide what kind of action you're going to take. How are you going to improve yourself? Because guess what? You've just received this gift of feedback from someone else. In the instances, guys, where it's not true for you, then guess what? You don't take it personally and you let it go, right? If it's not true for you, then just let it go. But if it is true for you, decide what actions you're going to take and then take those actions. And now you have the ability to improve yourself. So if you do this part very well, that will lead to the INSPIRE principles, which was our second module here. In terms of getting ready to deliver the feedback. Before you have that one-on-one with that person to give them the feedback, you want to prepare a little bit. And so you want to prepare yourself with the INSPIRE principles. Remembering, guys, at the most fundamental, we give feedback because we want the other person to improve, right? Not to be better than, not to punish them, not to, feel good about ourselves. We're doing it to hopefully inspire them to improve their performance or behavior. So you might need to gather some information and data. As much as possible, keep the information based on fact, right? Not opinion or gossip or hearsay. You need accurate information and data to prepare. When you're getting ready to deliver the feedback, be neutral, not angry or frustrated, right? You want to come in with a natural, neutral kind of authentic emotional state. Ensure psychological safety. So don't give feedback in front of other people. Schedule a meeting, book a meeting room, take them out for a coffee, make sure that they feel safe, because the safer they are, the more open they will be to receive your message. Ask permission first. Hey, I have something on my mind. Is it okay to speak openly? Do you have a few minutes for a straight talk? I have some feedback to share with you. Would that be okay? Right? All of which you're going to prepare in advance. Your intent is to help them improve. That's it. That's your intention. So remind yourself why you're giving them this feedback and kind of hold that intention. Do it as soon as possible in real time, not next week, next month, next year. Clearly, that's too far away. So as soon as is appropriate and practical, deliver the feedback. The more we delay the feedback, the more difficult it's going to be. And then you want to be sure that you prepare to express your expectations of the other person. What is the ideal behavior? What do you expect from them? How specifically do you want them to, improve or change their behavior? Any questions on that one? Pretty clear, right? Awesome. Then we discovered the Biff model, and this was last week, so you'll remember this one easily, I'm sure. B is behavior, I is impact, F is feeling, and then finally F is the future, which is kind of where you get to put your coaching hat on and have a bit of a coaching conversation, asking them how they're going to improve, asking them what specific actions that they're going to take. Now, if you followed these first 3 steps, then the final step should be much, much easier for you. And that's what we're going to explore today. So what happens, right? You're continually working on receiving feedback. You've prepared for the feedback by following the INSPIRE principles. You've delivered the feedback with Biff, where, every step is important in the Biff, and especially the final F, where we're focusing on the future, where you ask them to commit to actions, right? Don't tell them what to do. You need to ask them to elicit them. What else, anything else. You might need to gently nudge them if you can. After the feedback, it's actually pretty simple. Right? So supporting your team members after the transformational feedback is crucial for that longer term performance and or behavioral transformation, right? So in other words, you can't just kind of deliver it and then walk away and then expect everything to be sunshine and roses. So you can use a combination of these different processes here, whatever you think works best for the individual, but also for your leadership style. The first one is simply more straight talk, right? So if you remember, straight talk and clear communication can prevent and resolve 98% of all of the problems in the workplace. So you want to get really, really good at being open to having those straight talk conversations. Now, while many of you on the call today are listening to the recording, you might be based in Asia, you might be based in Europe or Australia, or wherever you are, you can create your own internal organizational culture of straight talk and clear communication. That kind of culture which will transcend, typical culture of, we can't speak up to someone who's more senior than us, or we can't, have these direct conversations with the boss. We just say, yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. No. We need to get beyond that. So if you are in a senior leadership role, you can create this culture of straight talk and clear communication by simply practicing it more often, right? repetition and practice, and repetition and practice. And if you keep doing it, following what we've already discussed, especially asking permission and especially creating an environment of psychological safety, then you can just have these beautiful direct communications. You can get straight to the point in the interests of improving the business, right? Because at the end of the day, the most successful businesses that I've had the pleasure to work with, they have an environment where, you know, that straight talk and clear communication is not only done or accepted, it's actually done on a regular basis. Yeah, regardless of nationality, regardless of what country we're in, regardless of the diversity of the teams, we just need to get to a point where you can have these straight conversations. A fantastic way to encourage that even more is by you asking for feedback more often, right? So when you finished a one-on-one, you know, hey, Mary, do you have any feedback for me? Hey, Mary, do you have any suggestions for me? Hey, Mary, any tips on how I can improve my leadership? Right now, at the beginning, of course, they're going to say, no, boss, you're perfect. Everything's perfect, boss, you're perfect, which we know is a lie. And with practice and repetition, as you do it with authenticity, then they will get to a point where they feel safe enough to be able to share something with you. So do whatever you can to encourage the straight talk. And very importantly, you will want to schedule some follow-up conversations with the person in which you just delivered the feedback. So that might be a week from now. It might be 2 weeks from now. It might be a month from now. But for sure, if you're able to schedule that very, very first follow-up conversation as like the official follow-up, then again, it's an opportunity for more straight talk. It's an opportunity for you to do some more coaching or some more mentoring and to offer your support, right? By scheduling that, especially the very, very first one. Now, you might schedule regular one-on-ones, right? And it might be something that you do with all of your team, whether that's once a month, once every 2 months, or once a quarter. At the minimum, you want to do it once per quarter, where you're having that one-on-one conversation, where it's just you and the other person, whether it's at the cafe over a coffee, during a lunch break, you know, during work time, whenever it is, as you make those one-on-ones more consistent and more regular, and you have the discipline to actually have them, then you're encouraging more straight talk. You're encouraging a more open flow of feedback, both this way and that way. And they're expecting it. They know that it's coming. So it kind of reminds them that they committed to certain actions during the feedback conversation. So it reminds them that they need to be taking some kind of action. And they know that you're going to check up with them at that next conversation. Does that make sense, guys? Yes or yes? Yeah. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward, right? Pretty clear. Yeah. Now, at the end of when you've delivered your feedback, especially on Biff with the final F, where you're discussing the future, that's a great opportunity to have a coaching conversation. And you can have more coaching conversations. And who can tell me, guys, when is one of the best, easiest, most organic times to have a coaching conversation? When do you think that might be, guys? In the natural working environment, when is one of the easiest times for you to have a coaching conversation? What do you think? Pop it in the chat box or unmute yourself. When is one of the most organic times to have that coaching conversation? Anytime. Good answer, Coach Suniva. Yes, you're absolutely right, and you're talking my language. When's another easy time, really organic time for you to have coaching conversations? No? When you're whoop, hang on, before I say it, here comes something into the chat box. The coffee room can be, oh, when things are going well. Oh, nice. Yeah. Coaching conversations can happen anytime. And often the most organic, natural conversations, you can be at the coffee room or the water cooler or the car park after the start of the day. All those answers are pretty good. And probably the easiest one, guys, is when your subordinate comes to you with a problem. When your subordinate comes to you with a problem, that is the easiest way to start a coaching conversation. But let me let you in on a secret. It's easiest for them. Who is it not easiest for? You. Why? Because when they come to you with a problem, your immediate instinct is to try to solve it for them, right? You're all problem solvers. If you're in a senior leadership role, I know that you're very, very good at problem solving. So you must resist the urge to tell them what to do, right? By then flipping it 180 and say, interesting. Wow, what a nice challenge that is. What do you think? What could be one possibility? What's another option? What might I recommend you to do? So it's up to you to resist that urge to try to fix and solve the problem by telling them what to do and flipping that around 180 to asking them, what do you think? Right? So that's one of the most organic times for a coaching conversation. Yeah, right after an event or a meeting can be very, very useful, especially when you're doing it as a group, right? What do I mean by that? Let's take the example of a project, right? You've just completed a project and you've got the group together and you say, okay, team, what did we do good in this project? Yeah, and you get them to share everything they did good. We got it done on time. We got it done within budget. The customer was really, really happy. We learnt a new process to make it even more streamlined or quicker, and list all of the good stuff, right? Then you ask them, what could we do to improve for next time? And, you know, inevitably, there's going to be some problems or challenges within a project. Maybe the project wasn't a massive success, right? But you can still start with the positives. What did we do good? Then you say, okay, what could we do to improve? And the way to do this by honoring the psychological safety in the group, you could say something like, okay, guys, take 2 minutes each and just write it down on a piece of paper. What do you think we could have done to improve? Go ahead and do that now. And so you let them kind of gather their own thoughts. You don't put too much pressure on them yet. And then, you know, 1 more minute, guys. What else could we do to improve? Please capture it all. This is our opportunity to learn and grow together. Anything else? Then when they've written it all down, then you can ask each individual to share. And you can capture that on the whiteboard or the flip chart or the digital flip chart or however you want to do it. And then you let everyone share. And you do your best to avoid finger pointing, and you do your best to, you know, be non-judgmental, right? Because that maybe there were some mistakes that were made. Maybe there was, you know, some things outside of our control. Maybe there were some things within our control. Either way, if you get them to express and speak up, again, you're supporting the new culture of more straight talk. And that's what's going to prevent your problems in the future. Yeah. And then after that, you might say, great, everyone, thank you so much for sharing. Listen, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to follow up with you one-on-one and dig a little bit deeper into some of these challenges that we faced so that we can improve even more for next time. Then you follow up with your one-on-ones, right? And you can ask them again. So what challenges did you perceive from the project that we just completed? And then you put your coach hat back on. Cool, cool. Mentoring. Mentoring is sharing best practices. So, you know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And sometimes there are things that your subordinate, they're just some things that they don't know that they don't know. So if they're kind of feeling a bit stretched, or they're way outside of their comfort zone, or if they're feeling a bit stuck or some kind of concern about improving themselves with that behavior or performance, and you kind of get the sense that they're, you know, procrastinating or holding back, or there's something going on, this could be the good time to mentor them. Where in mentoring, you're focused on the solution, right? So we're not going to drag up the past again. You're going to focus on them completing their agreed upon actions. And then you're going to perhaps share with them some best practices, a bullet point list, some other perception or option that you might have for them. It's where you're going to be that favorite, you know, uncle or auntie, where you kind of want to take them under your wing, show your concern, and show them that, hey, if you follow this strategy here, it's most likely going to save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle. All right, so that's what we mean by mentoring. And then pit stop conversations. So some companies that I'm supporting with coaching and leadership programs, they have regular pit stop conversations once a month. And those monthly conversations might be only 15 to 20 minutes. And it's simply, you know, you can say, great, welcome to your pit stop. Well, listen, we've only got 15 minutes today. Are you cool that we get started right away? And they say, yep. And then pop. How are you going with your action plan? Where are you at with your goals and KPIs? What support do you need from me? What concerns do you have about completing these tasks? What resources do you need? Is there anything else you need from me? Right? Again, you're doing your best to have those straight talks. You ask a little bit of permission. Hey, we've only got 15 minutes. Are you good to go? Can we jump straight in? They say, yep. And then pop. All right. And so they can be very, very useful, because you're not waiting 2 or 3 months to see if you need some kind of course adjustment. You're checking in with them sooner rather than later to offer the support that they need. And then finally, you could also have feed forward conversations. So feed forward is super, super powerful. In the interests of time here, I'm not going to share it with you today, but go ahead and type into YouTube. If you type feed forward Marshall Goldsmith, there you'll find an old video. It's pretty old. You'll tell by the video quality. It's about 7 minutes, and he explains what feed forward is. For my leadership programs and leadership coaching programs that I teach to organizations, I encourage the leaders to facilitate these feed forward conversations as a proactive way for their teams to improve. Feedback is dealing in the past. Feed forward is improving into the future. So it's super, super proactive. It happens to be a little bit of fun. And the follow-up to feed forward is a coaching conversation. So for those of you passionate about coaching, it's an opportunity to do that even more. And it's very, very organic, and it's very, very fun. Right? So that's pretty much it for after the feedback. There's not really much else you can do there except offer support and check in as necessary. In the beginning, you might check back more often, right? For example, once a week or so. But then over time, as you see that they're progressing well, then you might not need to check back as often. So as often as is needed. And one of the golden questions you can ask, especially if you've helped them to design some new actions that they're going to take to improve their behavior or performance, one of the best questions you can ask is, do you have any concerns about completing these actions, right, by this time frame? And whatever they say is gold, right? And you're looking for congruency. If you say, do you have any concerns? And they say, no, no, everything's okay, I guess. No, it's not, right? So you need to observe their body language. You need to listen for congruency, their tone of voice. And if it doesn't match, then that's your opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. All right. So I've prepared a little document for you guys that I'd like to share. And let me just get the link for it now. So for those of you that really want to implement this transformational feedback, I'd like to share with you this little template that I've created, which is basically a summary and an overview of everything that we've discovered through these sessions here. And I'm putting in the link there now. So you can download that. Up the top here is just the reminder, right? Just the reminder to be continually open to receive feedback. Get ready for the feedback before it with your Inspire principles. Now, the next lines here, this is what I want to focus on a little bit now, right? So this is where you're kind of going to do all of that pre-work before delivering the feedback, just to ensure that you make it as positive and as inspiring as possible. So remember, we've got the Biff here, B-I-F-F, and here's some examples, right? Late delivering an important project milestone 2 months in a row. That's the behavior, unacceptable behavior. The impact it has means I couldn't complete any of my project as I was waiting on your part. This significantly delayed the project, which was causing a problem with the customer. And whatever impact you have, you might just put it down as bullet points. Remember, you're doing this before you meet with the person who you want to give feedback. You can share that you feel frustrated and annoyed. You can share your feeling that you're concerned that we might lose the customer. And you can share your feeling of being concerned about you, the person you're giving the feedback, because in previous months, you would always deliver ahead on time. But for the last 2 months, coming into the 3rd month now, you're not, right? And that makes me a bit concerned and worried. Is there something else going on, right? So remember, F is future, the final F. So prepare what your expectation is, that your project milestone must be completed on time. How can I support you to make this happen? Remember, you're going to move into a coaching conversation there. So just if you need to highlight, ask questions. Don't tell them how they're going to do it. And then in the other part of the document here, guys, you can put down extra information, again, to simply prepare yourself to deliver this transformational feedback. So the late project milestone, it was due on the 30th of December. It was delivered on the 4th. That's late. It was discussed on the 5th. It happened again on the next month. And then so here you are. What are your clear expectations? So again, write them down so you don't have to think about it in the moment. This is all pre-work to prepare yourself, because why? Number one, you want to be prepared for the best outcome. And number two, it helps keep your emotions under control, right? Because you've really thought and done your homework to prepare to deliver this, especially in the beginning, guys, right? If delivering feedback is not one of your strengths, then use this template to best prepare. And then as you get yourself up to an 8 or a 9 or a 10, then of course you might not need this form anymore, because you will have built that muscle. Yeah. And then very importantly down here, what are the agreed upon actions? So you complete this after the feedback. Don't try to remember, guys. You can just have this form, and then you can, we're going to weekly meet each other to support whatever other actions. And then after the feedback, that might be your pit stop, your coaching conversation, another meeting, whatever you've kind of agreed to do. And then you put that over here. Now, optionally, you can keep this template and just use it yourself, or especially when you're talking about the agreed upon actions, you may have your subordinate to acknowledge that as well. Yeah. And so that's totally optional, up to you. So use this form if you feel it's necessary. I've used this with other organizations that we help, and I think you might find it very, very useful. Yeah. Now, I think there was a question there. Please advise the suggested ratios for all types of conversation. Do our staff feel overloaded with lots of conversations? Excellent question, Pung. Thank you. So it depends on how many staff you're managing in total. In the beginning, I would recommend to schedule a one-on-one once a month. Yeah, just a regular one-on-one, which doesn't need to be any longer than 30 minutes. Now, remember, you don't have to give, transformational feedback, or you can simply give positive feedback. You did this great, you did this great, then this was awesome. And then are there any areas where you feel that you would like to improve? Are there any resources that you need? Is there any courses that you want to attend, right? But if you just get consistent by doing it once a month, then they'll just see that as part of the culture. And the purpose is not to overwhelm them. The purpose is to support them, especially through your coaching conversations and your mentoring conversations, where it's a proactive way for them to get beyond their current level of thinking. So I hope that helps there, Pung. If you've got 100 direct reports, working under you, then maybe once a month is going to be a little bit difficult for you. So it might be once every 2 months, but certainly once a quarter. Don't do it once a year at their performance review. Please do it more regularly than that. And if you're going to give the feedback, follow what you've learned here, make it inspiring, make it uplifting, and be sure to listen. Right? You want it to be a two-way conversation. You want them to be part of the solution, right? Not that you're the teacher or the angry parent, clean your room, do this. We're beyond that. In theory, your employees are adults. Yeah, they're mature adults who are able to learn and to grow. Cool. So just to wrap up, this transformational feedback, guys, and again, we already know this. We only need to look at lockdowns and how we survive. We only need to look at work from home and how many organizations were not able to survive, but able to thrive during that period. How did you do that? Through a series of meetings and conversations and one-on-ones and group sessions where straight talk and clear communication can prevent and or resolve 98% of all of your problems. Yeah. So just in closing, guys, open to receive the feedback, prepare yourself with Inspire, follow the Biff model, and then support as necessary with those coaching conversations, with those mentoring conversations, and so on. And if you've enjoyed this communication module on transformational feedback, you will love 30 different modules on internal and external communication, how to coach, how to think differently, managing our emotional intelligence, and inspiring and uplifting our team. Coming soon, about a month from now, 7 to 11 of July here in Bangkok, or you can join us virtually if you're in Vietnam, Malaysia, or somewhere else. Special investment for our webinar guests. And for those looking to take your coaching skills to the next level, join us for the ICF Leadership Coaching Certification on 16 to 17 of July. We hope to see you then, guys. The quickest 30 minutes of my week. Thank you all very, very much. More webinars coming next week. We're going to shift the time back to the early evenings, and it's a new series. And stay tuned on the invitation for that coming to your email inbox soon. Until then, guys, stay awesome, stay amazing, and see you at the next session. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye. Thank you.